What's up guys, this is Sensei. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I got my Gene to 1000 trophies in Solo Showdown. I'm going to be going over some replays and I'm going to give you some tips that you can push your Gene high in Solo Showdown as well. But anyways, without further ado, let's just go over Gene's stats real quick. As you can see, Gene has a pretty good amount of health at 5040, the same as Shelly and Bo. His attack is very unique. He shoots a magic ball for short range that does 1400 damage, but if it doesn't hit anyone, the attack then splits off into a bunch of little tiny magical pieces, and the damage is also split as well. And this does give Gene a very long range, which is very good. Gene's super, called Magic Hand, what it does is Gene shoots out Magic Hand, and if it lands on someone, it will bring that brawler and bring them close to Gene, which can be very useful for brawlers that are low health or just brawlers that have low amount of HP in general, for Gene to easily bring them to close range and 3-tap them. But anyway, let's just go over Gene's gadget and the star power to use, and then we'll head right into the replays. Alright, for Gene's gadget, we have Lamp Blow, and what this does is for any enemy that gets close to Gene, it will push them back, and it will also heal Gene for 700 health. And of course, this pushback also acts as a stun, so basically if a brawler is in the middle of their attack, or in the middle of their super, such as Frank, it will cancel it, which should be very helpful. I would say this is a very important gadget for Gene to have. If you want to push Gene, make sure you get the gadget. Star power is not as important, but the gadget is very important just because Gene can be very weak to Leon supers, Crow supers, Jackie's running in, BB's running in. These types of attacks Gene can be very weak to if Gene does not have the gadget, so that's why I say the gadget is very important. But anyways, let's go over the star power to use. Alright, the star power you want to be using is Spirit Slap, Gene's second star power. What this does is whenever Gene's super is fully charged, it will give Gene an extra 300 damage to his attack, so very good. This will actually improve Gene's burst damage, which is when Gene unleashes all 3 of his attacks, from 4200 to 5100, which means Gene will be able to 3-shot other Genes, Shelly's, and Bo, provided that Shelly's not using the Band-Aid star power, of course. So very key to notice these interactions, especially when you're going in for your super. But yeah, the reason why you don't want to use the first star power is because the first star power heals teammates, and in Solo Showdown you don't got teammates, so it has no value whatsoever. So you should be using the second star power. Anyways, let's go over the map that I pushed Gene to 1k on. Alright, and the map that I pushed Gene to 1k on is going to be Forsaken Falls. As you can see, it's a very open map, not a lot of walls, not a lot of grass, and these are the kind of maps that Gene thrives in. Another great example is 1000 Lakes, which is also a very open map. So you want to be playing Gene on the open maps, and the way you can tell if a map is like an open map is if there's not a lot of walls or grass. These maps are going to be good for long range brawlers and not so good for the tankier brawlers. So you don't want to be playing Gene on maps like Skull Creek, maps that are designed for tanks. The robot modifier, maps like that, you don't want to be playing Gene on those because Gene's just not going to be able to handle the close range combat. So make sure you're playing Gene on long range maps. Anyway, let's head right into the first replay. Alright, heading into the first replay here, spawning in the bottom right corner of the map. And in this map, it is super easy to get pinched right off the bat. So what I typically do is I try to spin immediately with the people around me, or I try to retreat to a bush in the towards the end of the map, just because there's a lot, like it's super easy to get pinched. I mean, brawlers can just come from either side of you and there's really no escape. So just be aware of that, especially crows. Crows can be some of the worst pinchers. If you spawn next to 2 crows, I just recommend getting out of there immediately because they can be a pain to deal with. But as you can see, there's a Mortis hiding in that bush on the top over there. Mortis can be a very tricky matchup because with his gadget, he can completely wipe me out. However, if I'm able to cancel one of his dashes with my gadget, then I can take him out. So it's a very tricky matchup, and it can be very hard. But just make sure that if a Mortis is coming to attack you, make sure to gadget him and cancel his attack. Okay, if you gadget after he dashes onto you, he will still be able to kill you just because your push away is not really going to stop his gadget or his dash. So make sure you cancel his attack. Very important when you're doing the Mortis to cancel his attack. Anyway, after the map has opened up because of the meteors, we come out of our bush and start looking around. I see that a fight goes on the left side of the map, and I immediately take advantage of that, killing the Gene, who got low from the Crow. Teaming with this Mortis, I believe, just because, as I said, it's very very tricky matchup to deal with. Just scouting the bush, just seeing if there's any good matchups to go for. There's just Crow, but he starts teaming, so I start teaming as well. Crow is very good matchup for Gene, just because Gene has the range, and if Crow ever jumps on you, you can just use your gadget and then just get back and use your range again. So Crow, very good matchup for Gene. We're pinching this bow over here on the right side, and eventually, I believe the bow goes down. And so now we're just waiting for the map to get closer. La-di-da-di-do. Eventually, the Crow makes a mistake and gets caught in this mine, so we take him out. And then I make a mistake and caught in the mine. Fortunately for me, I'm able to cancel this attack. Like there, you see how the Mortis dashed in and I push him back. That is exactly what you want to do. Able to pick up the dub. Anyway, let's head into the second replay. Alright, heading into the second replay. We're spawning in the left side of the map this time. To the bottom of us is a Crow, and to the top is a BB. Start spinning with the people nearby. And yeah, I don't think the Crow spin with me, but the BB does. The meteors can be tricky on this map. Luckily, the meteors do have a pattern. I do realize that the meteors target teamers, but I mean, like, for some reason, the meteors seem to attack me instead of, like, you know, the BB or the Shelly. Don't know why that is, but if the meteors do attack you, they do typically follow a pattern. So once you start running from a meteor, just immediately go back to the way you came from, and then vice versa. Just go back and forth. The meteors typically like to spawn in front of wherever you're moving to, so you just go back the way you came, and you should be able to avoid meteors pretty easily. Can't tell you how many losses I got just because of meteors, because sometimes I'm not even teaming and they just come after me. And yeah, meteors can be annoying. But anyway, pinching this Crow on the top right with the other Crow. I mean, you can just see how annoying Crow is when he's pinching, just because you just can't, he doesn't let you heal. So yeah, just pinching this white Crow with the Crow on the bottom. As you can see, the meteors coming after me, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just go back the way you came. As you can see, the meteors are aiming in front of me, so if you just go back the way you came, you're going to be able to dodge those meteors no problem. And yeah, the meteors get off of us, luckily, and we're pinching this Crow, and it's not going to be long before it goes down. As long as I keep my range, there's really nothing Crow can do about it. As you can see, he's desperately trying to fend me off, but I mean, I keep my range, he can't hit me. Meteors come again for us, but we're able to dodge them. Pretty sketch. It's very important to not get hit, because if you get hit, a lot of times people will backstab you if you get hit by a meteor, so it's very important to avoid them. Just checking the bush to see what's up. I move to the bottom of the try to move to the bottom of the map, but the meteors keep going us, so just trying to dodge them. As you can see, the meteor is still on us, even though we are clearly nowhere near anyone else. But luckily for us, the meteors finally go away. I try to pull the Sprout towards me, but he dodges, luckily for him. And again, the meteor comes after us. Could have ruined our run right here, but luckily for us, the Sprout was too busy focusing on the BB. So now we're just waiting for the walls. And again, the meteor comes. A meteor almost ruins this game for us, but luckily we're able to clutch up and get the kill. Anyway, let's move into the next replay. Alright, heading into the next replay. Now, we did get second place in this replay, but I wanted to show it just because it shows what happens when people don't want to team with you. That 8-bit over there spinning at the beginning, but you'll see later that he teams it with the Pam. And a lot of times when you have this big Pam 8-bit teammate, they don't like to team with anyone else. They only like to team with one of their own kind, 8-bit and Pam. As you can see, we try to spin with this Pam over here, but she's just not having it. And so a lot of people ask me, like, I try to team with the Pams or the 8-bits, right? But they wouldn't team with me. What do I do? So here's what you do. Right now, we're just chilling, but eventually the Pams and 8-bits are going to make their way up. What you want to do is you want to team with the other brawlers that are not 8-bits and Pams and act like a kind of, I don't know, kind of war, kind of, where you're trying to battle them. It is kind of fun. But yeah, so you basically want to team with the other brawlers that they're not teaming with, so you can try to back them off. As you can see, using the wall and using my range, I'm just trying to keep them at bay. You don't want to get too close to them because they can 8-bit and Pam. They just do so much DPS. They can just laser you. So as you can see, using my range, so that way I'm able to hit them, but they're not able to hit me. Very important, because eventually, if they just keep running up into you, eventually they're going to get low. So they're going to have. So as you can see, we're keeping them at bay. Teaming with this crow over here to to battle them, playing duo showdown out here. Very interesting to say the least. As you can see, just keeping them at bay. And yeah, this is what you want to do. Alternatively, you could just try to camp and just not make yourself Alternatively, you can just try to camp and but you know, sometimes they do try to check bushes. Unfortunately, my crow teammate gets too close and gets lasered, and I don't even know how we get the place that we do in this game. I'm trying to spin, but no one's spinning with me to try to take care of the Pam and 8-bit. This Gene gets low from the Pam, so I go ahead and pinch. I then push the Pam over to the other Pam. I see the 8-bit gets the crow low, and then I pull him over toward me for the kill. And then the Pam over there gets weak, so I try to pinch the Pam over there, and then the 8-bit starts betraying the Pam over there. Everything is going hectic. Then I help the 8-bit pinch the Pam, use my gadgets to make sure I don't die, and we end up getting a second place. I don't even know how we did it, but yeah, let's go into the next replay. Alright, heading into the next replay, not going to be as hectic as the last game, but let's just talk about matchups real quick. Pretty much any brawler that you have a longer range can be a very good matchup, unless they're like an 8-bit or Pam and have a lot of health, because when you're shooting at range, you typically do a chip shot, right? And for a brawler like 8-bit or Pam, that's just going to tickle them, especially if they have their turret, so... I see this B does not have honeycoat, so I know I can bullet her. B, a very good matchup for Jean, and just because she has low health and you can just use your range. As I said, Crow, an excellent matchup for Jean. I mean, just use your range, and if they jump in, you can just gadget up. So yeah, pretty much brawlers that you have a longer range, and you can very good matchup for Jean. Piper can be very tricky. Just because Piper has a long range. I think Jean has a slightly longer range, but it can still be very tricky, especially since Piper does so much damage. So Piper can be a tricky matchup for Jean to deal with, but the B is pretty easy to deal with. Bees, Crows, Leons, they're all easy to deal with just because they don't have the range to deal with you. Mortis also can be a very tricky matchup, as I mentioned earlier. But yeah. So right now we're just keeping the the B back. As you can see, we're just literally bullying the B, because I mean, we have the range advantage. Nothing really B can do. She's trying desperately to shoot us, but I mean, we're just keeping our distance. Very important to keep your distance, by the way. If you get into range, things can go bad. So and as you can see, getting popped by this Piper, but luckily for us, we're able to hide behind a wall so Piper can't hit us. We then team with the Piper, but unfortunately for the Piper doesn't know what range means and gets completely melted by the M's. So yeah, as long as you don't get into range of M's is not really a big deal. Able to kill the M's because the M's was low, and now we're just checking the mid. We have a B on the top. The meteors come after us, even though we are literally the farthest brawler away from all the other two, but whatever, it is what it is. I believe we start pinching the B with the Crow over here. And yeah, you can just see both these brawlers very good matchups for me. So yeah. And then the Crow tries to jump on me, but again, using that Gene gadget, pushing him into the poison, and finishing off with 69 health. Very nice! Anyways, let's head into the last replay. Alright, heading into the last replay that I have for you guys. This is actually the game where I got my rank 30 Gene, so very cool. Spawning in the bottom left of the map. Spawning to the top left of us is going to be a Crow. We are able to team with him, and spawning to the bottom right is going to be Colt, which we were not able to team with, but I mean, that's fine by me. Don't really need to team with everybody. Just as long as I don't get pinched right off the bat. I mean, that's really all that really matters to me, honestly. Just letting my Crow teammate know that I'm here. So when do I use my Gene Super? Now, obviously, you want to be holding on to that Gene Super. You don't want to be just pulling left and right. Just because you want to make use of the star power, right? You want to get the full value out of it and get that extra damage. But if a brawler is at low health to where you can 3-tap them, or if the brawler itself just doesn't have a lot of HP to where you can 3-tap them, that's who you should pull. And obviously, if they're not in the range of your direct attack, like if they're beyond the point where your attack splits, if that's their distance, then you're gonna want to pull them. But obviously, if they're inside of that range, then you can just shoot them directly. You don't need to pull them because they're already close enough for you to attack them. So yeah, as I mentioned before, Jean does 4,100, no, not 41, 4,200 in damage in 3 attacks. So if that brawler is below that HP, you can go ahead and pull them and kill them that way. As far as aiming, like if they're 1 or 2 tiles at the edge of Jean's super, then you have to manually aim. But otherwise, if they're below that, you can just auto aim his super, and you can, in most cases, get the pull most of the time. So like unless they're at the very edge of Jean's super range, you can just auto aim them. So it's very key to know that. Pinching that Colt using our range, so very good there. Able to get this double kill on the Crow and the Leon over there, so very nice. Able to pinch the M's in the top of the map with this Max. So now it's just us and the Max. I go to 3-top the Max, but he uses his gadget to avoid one of my shots, but we were able to use our gadget, push him back, and get the kill to get the first place for the final game. And that's going to do it. That's going to be 1K Jean. So very nice. And here's just some video and screenshots of me getting the 1K Jean. So yeah. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more, please let me know in the comments. And here's just my battle log so that you know that I got Jean in Showdown to 1,000 trophies. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and peace.